Hello, my Scandinavian friends and friends at Malta, Gozo, and all around the world. This is a little interesting video where we will talk about the upcoming events for 2023 and also for all of you who follow online to understand the importance of Gozo in this time. So right now I'm standing on top of the largest hill on Gozo in an amphitheater, which we're soon going to show you. And also there is this amazing hills on Gozo, which are really strange. And if you could be kind to just zoom in to that hill in the background here. There are hills here that seems they've been tampered with. They're cut off, so they're totally flat on top. And the structure underneath is like fairy tale giant trees way back in history that was cut. So let's just take a swing, a 360 swing, so you can see all around the island and these hills. So there you have Malta in the background, and then as you see, hills around this magical little island. And on top of here is this energy spot where they build an amphitheater for doing ceremonies. And there you have the lighthouse, and also on top of that lighthouse, a flat hill. So, strange things. So now we're going to dive into that and the deeper meaning of this island connected to all the way back to Atlantis and what it has to do with the era we're in right now. So, now we're going to talk about, I would say, a summary of this huge paradigm shift we're in and the importance of Gozo in this time that goes all the way back to the Atlantean time. And with me today I have my friend David here. Hi David.
Hi. We just met.
It's like
it's
one
of
the
the
most
most exciting things, right? We met on Thursday and then we're filming today. It's like 2 days later.
So
that's Gozo.
I was actually gonna start with this because I came into a restaurant, a vegan restaurant where David was sitting, and he said hi and said, I recognize you from the ceremonies we've done with Francis. So everybody that been following along here, you've seen the ceremonies we've done with Francis, and many have been here on retreats and conferences on Gozo, taking part in them live. So Francis just left the earth plane a few weeks ago, and David is very connected with Francis as well. So we started to talk, and one thing led to another, and I just realized we need to do a video to let everybody knows about this.
Okay.
So to start with, I think it's also important to talk about how the universe talks to us and send us to places.
Okay.
And how you told me how the universe talked to you about Gozo to come here.
Yeah, well, I was just sent.
Let's just start there.
Wow, I don't even know how to describe. So I was told by 2 people in the morning on the same day about this island. I'd known for a number of years that there was something in my heart, there was something special to do, and it involved an island, but I didn't know where in the world. I visited Tenerife, I looked around, it wasn't there. I even asked, so it's Sanat Kumara. So some of you will be familiar with the philosophy that Sanat Kumara is. He resides within our earth, yet he encompasses everything. So he or she, like, terms don't really do adequate justice to that reality. But he, as he's been written about in the in the books and the documents, like he contains the entire of the reality of the human experience and civilization. So I don't know how I was fortunate enough to be led by his guidance, but the rest is just a mystery. I'm here. And I had 3 humans tell me on the same day. They didn't say come to Gozo, but they all mentioned Gozo, and it just piqued my curiosity. That doesn't happen very often, that 3 people do the same thing on the same day for no apparent reason, and they're not connected.
And they were not connected.
No,
Yeah.
not at all.
Ah. And you were thinking, where should I go?
Yes.
And then the universe came through those 3 people,
Yeah.
letting you know about
Yeah.
Gozo.
And at the time I had no idea it was Sanat Kumara or whoever. It was intuition. It just felt like this is the path. And I was really uncertain of where to go. I had a 2-month period. I just moved into a new flat. I knew I had 2 months, but the next step was it was just darkness. And then until this came up.
Yeah.
And then when I was coming, there was a number of events occurred. I won't talk about them all, but there was a galactic adventure to partake in. So there's galactic energies associated with the Maltese archipelago. And those, yes, we won't talk about those today, but I just felt like my heart is in Gozo. So when I got off the ferry, and if you travel or if you have traveled, it's a beautiful journey. Once you come through the north of Malta, it's very delicate countryside. This is it's like a rare air. It's a very specialized civilization. So I'm not talking about civilization as we know it. We're in the process of recreating our reality, and it's no doubt in my world that Gozo is playing a fundamental role in that recreation. And as soon as I landed on the island, something just felt different. It didn't feel real like a traditional 3-dimensional experience. There was something spiritual to the place that was just beyond words. And I came through Malta, which was different. It's much more like England or Ireland or an American city. It's just like a normal, but it isn't. And it is altering. The energy that's emanating from Gozo, it is starting to change the world. And we don't really understand what's happening, but I will speak about 4th, 5th dimensional fields and awareness and what's happening on the island, because it's turning something around that hasn't been turned around in 18,000 years. So we will talk about destiny and why you might want to come, because this is the time.
Yeah. Let's start by summarize part of the work that Francis did, and that was to the understanding that all these sacred sites, which we are sitting on one of the biggest one right now, on the top of the highest hill on Gozo, Tapino, where you just saw, we're sitting here on the Amphitheater, that all these sites were holding the highest Christ energy to help humanity during this dark era from the fall of Atlantis until this time where we reawaken again, to just hold that energy field all around the world. And as we know, the military has taken most of those sites and the church has taken most of the rest. However, there are a few left, and we're sitting on one. Actually, it's owned by the church here, but it's still free for everybody who knows about it to come around and just do some meditation work here or ceremonies and connect to that old field.
Yes.
And now my work is to help how we raise our own energy. So Francis and I, we met talking about these things, and which was that humanity is now coming to this point where we raise our energies to the same level as all these sacred sites. And as soon as we get enough of us to the same high vibration, like tuning forks all around the world, now our Gridnet will be another Gridnet as powerful as the old sacred sites.
Yeah, about 3,000 people. If we had 3,000 people and 1 week on an island, the world would never be the same. That's the reality.
3,000?
Yeah, that's all.
Okay.
That would be like the first procedure. There may be many, right? We're not talking about the hills today and how to have them all light up or become beacons of light. That's as far as I can tell, an impossibility for my lifetime. But there are things we can do to alter reality that will irrevocably change the world. And
So
it doesn't take many people. It just takes being at a certain, I don't like the words, I like to talk about velocity and harmonics. A certain level of harmonic for a certain group of people for a week would do it.
So that's my work here.
Good.
So I'm bringing people over here, and that's what we do. Over 10 days, we just raise our vibration, clear old baggage, and just do inner work, healing work, yoga, and ceremonies, and going into bliss. Going into the highest just enjoyment of living and being, just to get an experience of the times to come.
Not an experience.
It's
so
actually...
we've entered the portal. So if you don't mind me, I know I took the conversation away.
I just want to end there.
Okay,
the
good.
thing is to understand that we're moving into what's called the heaven on earth,
Yes.
right? And to just bring down that little heaven on earth seed to have an experience over 10 days here on Gozo, how it will be.
Yes.
So when we're in that energy, it's easier for us then to understand what we are going to co-create.
Yes. And the beauty of that fact is enough people would change it for everybody. So it wouldn't be going back. So oftentimes you come away on a retreat and it doesn't stick forever, right? But as far as I can tell, if there was 3,000 people for a week on Gozo, for instance, then it would never go back to how it was. But we're not just talking about an island, we're talking about, everything.
Yeah. So then that makes me want to dive into that next subject, which is what you shared with me the other day about all the way back to Atlantean time.
Yes.
The understanding of when we went down and how there was this leadership that understood they needed to just stay to hold the energy for humanity until this time now, where it's time to release it again, and this is what we're all feeling, this huge energy shift. And tied into the 13 points here.
Where do I begin?
Yeah.
So there are 13 hills approximately. We don't know exactly which ones, but they unveil themselves. So there are ceremonies that we're currently carrying out, which people can engage with either virtually online or they can come in person. And it's like, you can't turn on a hill, but the ancient Christ codes, the unification codes so it's how do you have spirit and matter and energy coexist in the same vessel simultaneously. So there's no separation between the divine and humanity and the earth. And that was Atlantean technology. So what we're talking about is reawakening that technology, that way of living, that lifestyle. So the unification of all that is and all that ever was, that's what's possible on Gozo. So we began the downfall about 18,000 years before Christ. I get confused with dates. No, it's more like 16,000 years before Christ, so 18,000 years ago. There was an intergalactic war. I mean, we're still in the midst of a battle. Nothing's complete in that respect. But 18,000 years ago, a portal kind of shut. And that was the beginning of the downfall of Atlantis. And there was a number of reasons why you can't say there's a reason why it fell, but there was artificial intelligence and the use of that, using machines within human body. It was never designed for this to be done. That came through the Orion system, and there's still a lot of battles happening around artificial intelligence at this time and what's happening in the world, because that could lead to a downfall. There's Christ consciousness, like there was a slow drop off in the awareness of everybody that lived in the civilization after this 18,000 year period. This benchmark is like the closest word I can find to describe it. And then we just went into a gradual decline, which then culminated in it's like an intergalactic warfare, and the king was assassinated in Hagarin, which is the south of Malta. And at that time, he was holding all the energy of the planet. And when someone disappears, the energy just goes. And it has never been the same. So that was approximately 11,000 years BC. You can date it by the ice cores and the records about the Younger Dryas, which is the elongated ice age that is now sort of fascinating people across the world in the work of Graham Hancock.
Yeah.
But yes, the Atlantean civilization just came to cataclysmic finale, and the dimensions just dropped out of our reality. So we are now recreating those dimensions, recreating that reality. That's what I'm occupied with most of the time. I want to talk about the Bosnian temple, or the Bosnian pyramid. I don't know if people are aware of what's been happening in Bosnia. They found a stone and it has writing on it. They didn't understand the writing. They had it translated in America. And as far as I can tell, it's really profound. The language, and excuse me, I can't remember the term they used to describe it, but it's one of the most ancient European languages. And what it essentially said is the portal is now closed. We must defend ourselves and conquer. And I can't remember the end part. But I look at the last 12,000 years of history in that light. The portal to the Atlantean awareness was no longer available. We had like the saviors who went out to the different, so Thoth went out to Egypt, there was the South American civilization. So Atlantis had many offshoots that continue to this day to bring forth fine technology and amazing feats. And we still don't understand what the Egyptians could do. All of that was an offshoot after the end of Atlantis. The gods had left, but what Thoth was godlike and brought much technology to the world. So I don't know what else to tell.
Well, so if you can go back to the fall of Atlantis again, and what used to be here at this spot at Gozo, which was the three hills of Atlantis, Malta, Gozo and Comino. And then the big event happened and we got the ocean, Mediterranean Ocean. And then we kind of have been biding our time through this dark era until this time where Gozo again becomes so important that you say it's the start. Everything starts here from Gozo. If you can go into that and explain that.
Yeah, I would like to. Thank you. It's pretty hard to say this because coming to terms with it is impossible. Like that Gozo could be the place where it all starts. That's really incredible to believe, because I'm certain everywhere else in the world is going through massive transformation and change. So to say it's one location it's irrelevant. You know, we don't have to be in one place to do our work. That's not what we're talking about. But what I understand, and a friend of mine, she's had the experience of rebirthing our planet here on this hill. So I've had the experience or the channeling information that there's been 3 times, this is the third, that the world has been recreated. And they always chose this spot for the recreation, so Tau Pinu Hill, Tau Hamar, as the Maltese would call it. This is the sacred site.
Can you also talk about the connection down to what's underneath here?
Not really. not on this call.
Okay.
That might be a little bit too much energy. But another time.
Okay.
So the 12 hills are all related to the Christ consciousness. Tau Pinu represents what will be the 13th hill. So in the Atlantean civilization, there were, as far as I can tell, there were 12 civilizations within the picture. Each one represented a planet, a star system, and each had its own harmonic. So the philosophy is that when the 12 hills resonate at the specific frequency that they were designed to resonate at, then the world will ascend to another reality. Now, we don't have to wait that long. We could still have a good time, right? But there's work to be done in straightening ley lines, in sorting out water courses, in improving the land. There's so much work to do. And the 13th hill, obviously, is the galactic or the Christ consciousness, which is not man, woman, or child. It's really about unity.
So it's more like an energetic impulse that starts here in what's called the Mediterranean, the middle of Earth, Middle Earth, and here's this little island in the middle of everything. Like it seems like the bullseye of the right, yeah. So we start here, or it starts here. This shift we're in,
Yeah.
with the energies then vibrating out
Yes.
all over the world to all the other sacred sites and to humanity.
Something like, though I don't imagine it's all going to happen here, but there is a fourth, fifth dimensional awareness field around Gozo, which I don't believe exists anywhere else on the planet currently, because we produced that over 12 months. That's a book or a story or something to talk about another time. But there is, in effect, a toroidal field around Gozo, which produces this magic feeling. And the plan, as far as I've been told, is to extend that over the year, so it will cover the world. Because we're not living in the fourth and fifth dimensional field. It's phenomenally difficult to get yourself close to it. And the great teachers, you know, they've spent lifetimes trying to reach that state and habitually failing. So you get the Buddha, you know, the one enlightened person who reached the seventh heaven, you know, it's like, but that's so rare. Whereas what the field makes possible is that we don't have to reach and fail.
So when you talk about these hills and the energies that you feel are part of your energy work here, can you tell me a little bit about the job that you're doing here, connecting to the hills and be part of that, start to connect them again?
Yeah, well, I felt I've been here many times in different lives, so I just feel a connection to Taupino especially. I mean, there are magical light workers here and across the world who don't understand yet their role. You know, they wake up mountains, lands, rivers, hills. You know, it's healing the land. You know, we're no longer separate from ourselves, from others, from the planet. So how do we do our work to heal, you know, this beautiful country? So I don't know how to describe my work. I walk about, you know, with sandals, shoes, or socks, or nothing, and then I talk to nature and I understand something's happening. I don't really like to talk about it, but I'd love to take people around. That's when it gets more interesting, because then people feel the energy, they touch into the divine, they touch into all that's there, they heal the land, they heal themselves.
So let's move into the time we're in right now, the shift that we're in. How do you see 2023 and the coming years here, and the importance of this time we're in? And
well, I think we've begun. It wasn't begun until the 22nd of August last year, as far as I could tell. That was when the light was reconnected from Sirius to Earth. So there is a galactic federation, and they all sort out themselves eventually, and we've got a bit of peace and quiet in the galaxy. Okay, well, now we can dial some energy into Earth. I mean, it's incredible, right? We're just at the bottom of this pipe, you know, and now people are starting to point things that might actually produce a good result on Earth rather than guns.
Yeah, exactly.
So we begin. How we begin, where we begin is not for me to decide. But we started, and the energy does ramp up. It's what all the astrologers are saying. The astrology is pretty clear. The energy is coming through. I don't know which stellar systems are involved, but it's just going to go right off. And I'm looking forward to March, April time, like through September. I think it will be magic. Very accelerating for people that are on the path.
Yes.
If you're not already having an amazing time.
Yeah.
I mean,
many of us feel the
we're
same.
having synchronicities. It's like, every 5 minutes.
Yeah, all right. That's a good sign.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's just summarize it. So if we look at what's going on now, there are so many that want to be part of co-creating heaven on earth, and they wonder, where should I go? You know, there is many that are drawn to paradise spots around the world, to live in a paradise environment and start to create communities there and become self-sufficient.
Yeah.
And Gozo is one of those places where we build and connect and bring people from all over the world here to do that work.
It's all I want to do.
Yeah.
It's like, this is the place to start. If people like starting things, come here, because this is where it begins. Now, there's no doubt you could go anywhere in the world, and it's where your heart feels at home.
I think that's actually spot on. We need just to listen and trust our intuition. That's the whole key now, you know, just to trust the intuition, so we know some animal. So we know where to go and be part of this whole, you know, awakening process and find our tribe.
Yes.
Where we feel home.
Yes. Yes, and it's always groups, whether that's 3s or 9s or 12s or 13s. You'll find yourself, or 30. You know, there is team. Some of us have been feeling really alone, and yet the team exists. We haven't met them. That's all. So it's just keeping the faith and the trust and the focus on the future, and it's going to be good.
Yeah.
I keep saying to my friend, we're only going up. There's no down.
No, exactly. But also that these soul groups that we actually, most of us, we go all the way back to the time of Atlantis and Lemuria.
Yeah.
And now we're recognizing each other again by just our vibe.
Correct.
Yeah.
And we don't have to do anything. Like, we don't need to try and meet or try and interrogate, or are you the person? It's like, no.
Yeah.
There's no like consideration. It's, we should do something.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's just wrap this up then with what would you say is, as an ending, a good advice now for the time we're in and to move forward?
Wow, trust yourself, trust your heart. Don't take anyone's advice. Listen to people. Wow, it's all about bringing through your higher self. You know, it's like into your heart. How can I bring through the highest being, the highest power, all that I am? Nothing else to pay attention to. Well, unless you've got a job. But even then, why not bring that to work?
Yeah, yeah.
It's what we need in our schools and our institutions.
All right. Well, David, this was for sure very interesting, and your work is very important. So keep it up. And I look forward to more talks and do amazing things together.
Yeah, please.
So thank you so much.
Thanks.
And thank you for being part of this and listening. And this is just the beginning. We're on, I would say we're right now in the birth channel coming out, and this is where all this fun stuff are beginning. So keep an eye on the channel, more things to come, and especially amazing retreats here on Gozo. So until we see each other again, take good care. Bye for now.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure.